Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone's doing okay. So back with another spins videos. It's been quite a run of thread responses and contest entries, so it's just back to basics. So yeah, we all know why we're here. Let's crack straight on. So the first two, bit of a theme on this one. I've picked out a couple of records, one of which I haven't played in literally decades, and another one that I bought and then forgot about for years that I had it. So let's start with this. This is absolutely great. This is a solo LP from Stranglers bass player JJ Burnell. I think it's his only solo effort. I know he did do one with keyboardist Dave Greenfield in the 80s, which I've only just sort of discovered that it actually even exists. But anyway, this album is called Euroman Cometh. That is right, isn't it? Yes, that is right. So, I bought this, let's say 20 years ago, in a charity shop. I think it was about £2. It was back near where we lived at the time. Anyway, I remember playing it and I just couldn't get on with it. I just couldn't get into it. Couldn't work it out. So it got put away and remained there for many years. After picking up fellow bandmate, what's his name? Hugh Cornwell's solo record from around the same time, the late 70s, when he released it. I picked that up last year in Arundel and really liked it. It kind of spurred me on to dig this out and give it a listen. So that's exactly what I did. And after all these years, I think this record is brilliant. I kind of understand why myself back in my mid-20s just didn't get on with it. I wouldn't have been listening to a lot of kind of post-punk back then, and I think I just got into the Stranglers, and I think I was expecting a Lost Stranglers album, and this very, very much isn't that at all. It is post-punk, but it's more electronic. It's got a krautrock vibe, and it's more experimental, but it is very, very, very good indeed. Sounds fantastic. It was pressed by Porky. It's a Porky Prime cut, so it sounds phenomenal. The first track on this, if you've got a decent set of speakers, then I'm telling you, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. There are the labels, very nice labels. So, is this essential if you're a Stranglers fan? I wouldn't say so. Is this essential if you're a post-punk fan? Most definitely. I can't believe I've not listened to it in that kind of, that sort of length of time, really, to be honest with you. I should have played this a decade ago, but I didn't. Time just flies and you do it. But there we go, rediscovered from my collection, and will be getting spun and probably streamed as well, so I can listen to it while I'm out and about. Highly recommended. Still not a pricey one. It's probably more like a £10 record now. Euroman Cometh by JJ Burnell. Next, we have this. So this one I bought. I want to say, I don't know if it was pre-pandemic or not, or post-pandemic. It was certainly 4 or 5 years ago. Something like that. I remember it was at the Record Fair in Chichester, which I did do a video on some time ago, but it was before that, before I was YouTubing. And this is, if I can get it out of its sleeve, come on, there it is. Fourth album by The Runaways. So I've got a box in my spare room where all of my kind of records that I've bought come in, they get cleaned and they sit there. This one sat at the back of the box for all those years, 4 or 5 years. And I don't really know why. I kind of just forgot about it. It just worked its way towards the back and I just never put it on. Considering I like this band and I've got their other 3 albums, I think for some reason that, I felt at the time I bought it just to complete the studio albums and that this album wasn't very good. I didn't really look it up, but I think that's the perception I had in my head. Anyway, finally put it on and it's brilliant. I actually think it's their best one. For those of you who don't know the Runaways, it's an interesting story. I mean, a groundbreaking band, really. For obviously, all-girl band, one of, considered one of the first, and certainly a huge influence on, I think female music in rock and pop in general, really. But they were groundbreaking in the way that they probably were quite punky before punk really exploded. And they had that, they had that mixture of punk and hard rock, which is I've always argued is a very fine line anyway between the two genres. They, would have appealed to both audiences. But very short-lived. Joan Jett obviously went on to have a big solo career, and later on, guitarist Lita Ford did as well. I first became aware of them. I went to the cinema because there's a biopic on this band. I don't know if anyone's seen it. I don't know if it's just called The Runaways. But my missus wanted to see it. I'd never really heard of them at the time. But it had two actresses in it that were from something else. It might be like True Blood, which she was watching at the time. And we went to see the film. It's pretty good. And I was like, okay. And then a week later, I stumbled on one of their albums. So that's how I got into The Runaways. But anyway, rabbiting a bit, as always here. This album is fabulous. I think the music has matured brilliantly. I was immediately put off, there's a few covers on this one. They've got a cover of 8 Days a Week by the Beatles. And when I see a Beatles cover, I'm kind of like, oh, not another one. Do we really need another Beatles covers? I know there are tens of thousands of them. And, they're going to crop up all the time. But this cover is brilliant. It's beautiful. They've slowed it down into a sort of shuffle, and it works. Dare I say, I think I prefer it to the original. It's absolutely great. As I say, the whole album's brilliant. If you're a fan of punk, hard rock, or both, this band is essential. But I think this album in particular is their best one. For whatever reason, this came out on Cherry Red Records. It wasn't on Mercury like the other ones. I don't know why Mercury didn't get released in the UK, but there it is. So, yeah, a forgotten gem indeed. Okay, I have shown this before reasonably recently. This is from Rise Above Records, which I rave about, quite rightly so. And this is from their own label, or a subsidiary label called Popclaw. It is Crystal Teardrop. The album is called Is Forming. Oh, this is brilliant. Now, I commented on the record when I showed it. I hadn't, I hadn't played the record at the time, but I'd streamed one of the tracks, so I knew kind of what I was expecting. And this did not disappoint. It's remarkable in the way that a band that recorded this album, it was would have been this year or possibly last year, can sound like something either from 1968 or a push of real quality neo-psychedelia of, say, the early to mid-80s. So if you are a fan of psychedelia from either of those eras, this is essential listening. It's essential. They absolutely nail it. It does remind me at times of the neo-psychedelic bands like the Rain Parade. There's even a song on here called Rain Parade. Might be a homage. And you can also almost imagine the sort of alter egos of XTC when they did Dukes of Stratosphere, the way they recorded, being similar to this. They've just nailed that kind of, scratchy, trebly, jangly, psychedelic sound of the late 60s. Absolutely fantastic. I was a bit intrigued as to how they did it. So I had a little look on the inner sleeve. And it was recorded at a studio called Tile House. I think it's right on the outskirts of London. It's probably sort of going into the, home counties area. I can't quite remember exactly where it is. But I looked this studio up. It's in operation, and read a blog about it. And it used to belong to Mike Oldfield. Now, he abandoned it, I think, in the early 80s. He just, I don't know, he didn't have use for it anymore. But it was resurrected, I think, by his son, and it was, renovated, maintained, and it's just full of vintage equipment, and that's how they operate. I think there's so much. They record in an analog way. I think they do digital as well if you want that. But if you're looking for that all analog sound, with all the sort of retro things that go with it, that's the studio for you, and that's clearly how they've achieved it. And it's, yeah, wonderful. The singer's voice, it can be heard. I think she's got an effect where it sounds like they're putting it through a Leslie speaker from a Hammond organ. That was quite commonplace in the late 60s and early 70s on records. I know guitarists used to feed their guitars through that as well to give it a really, really sort of twangy sound. Anyone who's heard Badge by Cream, there's the guitar bridge on that. That's got like a kind of Leslie speaker sound. But yeah, as I say, if you like psychedelia, this is essential. It's essential. So it is available online. I'll rave about Rise Above, but I'm not working for them here. Order it online. Get yourself a copy, or better still, go to Rise Above. Take a trip to London and go there. You won't regret it. Something very special to show you now. Looking at it, I can't believe I've got this. I can't believe I've got it. So I've been after this record for some time, but I was settling for a reissue of it because it was only released in the States, maybe Canada as well, but it wasn't released in the UK or even Europe, early 70s. And the opportunity came up to get an original first pressing of this in really nice condition. So I pulled the trigger on it and did it, and I'm so glad I did. The album we're talking about here, self-titled by Rain. And this is from, I believe, 1972, could be 73, one or the other. So this is a scarce one, but even scarcer in this country. There are the labels. It's on a label called Project 3, so some kind of American independent label at the time. What can I say? Real privilege to have it. Never thought I'd have an original. I mean the reissues, which I think have been released on Outsider, not easy to find, but they will be the cheap alternative if you fancy a listen. This is a great record. It is, I would say, it's kind of a mixture of prog and psych and power pop. Really, it is definitely the lighter side of prog. I was listening to it the other day and trying to think, because I knew I was going to do it on this video, and trying to think, how do I describe it? And it sounds to me a little bit like, if you can imagine a cross between something like a good power pop of Big Star combined with lighter prog of Argent. On a note of Argent, the sort of connection, the vocalist sounds quite a lot like Colin Blunstone as well, which is very, very good. He's got a kind of breathy vocals. It's brilliant. Yeah, great track after great track after great track. Lots of power pop, great harmonies. It's quite mellow in places, but there are kind of moments where there are tricky arrangements, a little bit of prog, but not much. This is not like, don't expect a Lost Yes or ELP album. This is not it, but so glad to pick it up. I never thought I'd have an original, but there we go. Yeah, Lady Luck was smiling down. So if you can find a copy, or indeed a good reissue, which is on Outsider, who are a great and official label, I urge you to give this one a try. That is self-titled by Rain. Okay, another quick one from Rise Above, my last trip that I have shown, but showing again. This is Pantheon. The album is called Orion. It's a Vertigo swell. It's pretty good. This it's I knew it was a prog album. I did know what I was going to expect when I picked this one up. It's Dutch prog band, and they sound it. I don't know what it is. A lot of the Dutch prog bands, I say a lot, I haven't heard that many really, to be fair, but they do have a kind of sound to them. And this one does remind me of Focus and another one called Solution. I don't know if anyone's heard Solution, but they've kind of got, it's kind of got that similar sound. I would say maybe these are a little bit quirkier. They've kind of got almost a sort of slight Canterbury feel. Very few vocals. In fact, I think the only vocals in it, there's no actual lyrics. It is just some background sort of harmonies and sort of, the occasional kind of scattish vocals here and there. Nice arrangements. Does it set my world on fire? Maybe not. I think I need to give this a few more listens to really digest it. It's nothing sort of groundbreaking or terribly original, but if you do like your prog rock, it's well worth giving it a listen because there are nice arrangements, good playing, good variety of instruments, and yeah, I'm glad I've got it because it's I like Vertigo swells. I've been collecting them for years, so this was a really great and unexpected one to have in the collection. So yeah, do check it out. Finally, okay, shout out time, and it's a double shout out for the same person in this vid. So a week or so ago, at the time of filming this, Gav Axman Spins posted a video ranking Charlatans albums. I'm like, lovely. And it turns out they're releasing a new one. And I'm like, what? I've very late to the Charlatans party, really getting into them, haven't got everything, but I went on a bit of a binge last year, getting as many albums as I could. But I was under the impression at that point that I thought they might release another album one day, but they didn't seem to be anything on the horizon. And all of a sudden, there's one out. In fact, by the time this video goes out, it's probably it will have been on release because he showed an unboxing. So I haven't bought that record yet. I'm actually going to save myself and try and get it at a proper bricks and mortar shop. What I'm going to do is, if I haven't got it by New Year's Eve, I'm going to order it online. But I think I'm doing a bit of shopping over the next couple of months, as I tend to do at the end of the year. And I'm bound to stumble on a new copy. So I will get it. But in the meantime, I spun this one, second album, between 10th and 11th, which I got last year. This is original pressing. Did have a price sticker on it. It had the original price sticker on the sleeve. Now, I wanted the price sticker, but I didn't want it on the sleeve, so I did the lighter fluid trick and got it off and I stuck it to the PVC outer. But yeah, that's what it originally cost. Our price, remember them? $7.99. Very decent album. I wouldn't say it's my favourite of theirs out of everything I've got so far. I actually tend to favour their later material, if I'm honest with you. My favourite, my absolute favourite that I have so far is Modern Nature. I think that album is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. This is extremely good. I don't think it's as good as their debut, and it's a strange record because I was listening to it and I put it on and I'm like, is it really that good? And when I flipped it over and put side 2 on, I'm like, I think all the better tunes seem to be on the second side. Sometimes that's the case with certain albums. I think I do need to give this more of a listen. I haven't actually played it a huge amount. It was the last one I got late last year. So I think I need to give this one a bit more time. But don't get me wrong, it is good. They're all, everything I've heard by them is good. And I don't think they've actually churned out a duff album. So the other great thing is they are touring again, the Charlatans, and I've got myself a ticket. Going to go and see them in Brighton next year. So I'm very excited. Very excited. So, thanks to Gav for bringing that to our attention. I mean, I probably would have found out eventually, but call myself a fan. I didn't even know they had a new album coming out. So straight afterwards, quick spin on this one, a non-album track, the only one I know. I don't need to say too much about that. That's probably the most famous tune, isn't it? For years, I thought they were some kind of one-hit wonder. I really did. I knew of this track and I knew they did other stuff, but yeah, I didn't know the quality of their work. So, there's that. Right, that's all for the album. So, any other business, just a couple of other things to mention to you. So, another shout-out for Gav. There was some VCLT sent my way. Not an album, but it is vinyl-related. We had a little exchange of gifts, and he very, very kindly sent me in a little gift box this book called Vinyl Countdown, which I was very, very grateful to receive. I've only just started reading it. I'm quite a slow reader, to be honest. I always have a book on the go, and I read pretty much every day. But I only read it in small snippets. I kind of read before bed, and and kind of that's about it. Sometimes I will read when I'm listening to music. But anyway, what I've read so far of this, it's just getting into the introduction of how everything's coming about. And this is going to be a great book, brilliantly written. It's basically a chap who's just gone around to, countless record shops around the world and is documenting his journey. But it just focuses, it seems to be focusing. Oh, come on, get your words out. It seems to focus as well on the kind of joy of record collecting, the agendas, what collectors are like, and all other aspects of it. This bloke's been doing it for absolutely years. I think his first record was, I want to say Please Please Me when it came out. And he's still doing it kind of now. So that's how long he's been doing it. But yeah. This is, I can only say from there we are. That's where my bookmark is. That's how much I've read. But already I know this is a great book. And very grateful to Gav Axman Spins for sending this to me. So yeah, I will finish this off and continue to enjoy. And finally, just a quick note. I've given the channel a new name. I've called it Vinyl Pursuit. When I started the channel, I called it George Pryor, and then after getting virtually no views, someone commented that I should give it a name, and I did. I called it Vinyl Show and Tell, came up with it really quick, didn't like the title, and it kind of worked. I started getting a few views and a few subs, and then it went from there. As time went on, I really just didn't like Vinyl Show and Tell. I didn't like it at all. So I just changed it to George Pryor Vinyl, which I still wasn't happy with. And I just couldn't think of a name I was happy with. And about a month ago, I woke up and the name came to me, and the name was Vinyl Pursuit. Just came to me in my sleep. Maybe I dreamt it. Weird, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, I like that name. I'm going to have it. So yes, I've added one word to the name of the channel, just to let you know. Not that really affects much, but yeah, I just wanted something I was happy with. Yeah, came to me in my sleep. Bit like Paul McCartney did with Yesterday. Remember that? He came up with that in his sleep, didn't he? So very, very similar things. I always knew me and old Paul were similar in some ways. I knew we were on the same wavelength. Anyway, I think that's everything. Right, yeah, that's it. I'm going on too much. This has gone on probably too long now, but never mind. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you like what you see, please give me a little like and subscribe, because it obviously really helps the channel. And until the next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you around.